You're responsible for your choices, whether you like it or not. Some people have been commenting on my recent video about how God is not responsible for human evil, saying, well, actually, he is responsible because if he exists at all, he's transcendent above us and he created the context that we live in. And so, therefore, he's ultimately responsible. And there's other arguments being made that God is ultimately responsible for our decisions. Ironically enough, that's arguing in favor of what I was trying to say. If God is ultimately responsible for your decisions and my decisions, then he needs to lock us up. Literally lock us up, put us in a cell where we can't make decisions. We can't do things. How in the world do you have an autonomous creature? How in the world do you have a relationship with someone if you have to hold them hostage and lock them up? So God has given us an environment and a context in which we are allowed to choose whether or not we will have a relationship with him and whether or not we will obey him and surrender to his will and to his purpose, whether or not we will trust him as our transcendent creator, that he knows what's best, that he is, because he's transcendent and all powerful and all knowing, that his laws and his decrees and his commandments, as the book of Deuteronomy say, are for our own benefit. So if God is responsible for you, and we're not talking about children, let me back up. We're not talking about children. Children reach a certain point in their development where we call it the age of accountability. There's a lot of debate about that. But how much societal evil is being perpetrated by 5-year-olds? Virtually none. None, zero. I would argue zero. So God's going to deal with children according to their level of understanding and then mercifully deal with them mercifully and compassionately. But you and I are adults. We're grown. We've developed fully and matured, and we make decisions of our own free will, whether or not we're going to obey God. And so we can't say, well, it's God's fault that I made the decision that I made because God created the context that I live in. God created the universe that I dwell in, if he exists at all. And so therefore your God that you're proposing, Pastor Mark, is responsible for my behavior. It's completely nonsense. If God is responsible for your behavior, he would need then to lock you up. And that would be taking away your free will.